Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: The Young and the Restless spoilers. Monday, August 11th, Mariah's crisis, Holden's grim discovery. Sharon frets. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Monday, August 11th, 2025. Fans can expect Sharon Newman, Sharon Casey's, to fret about Mariah Copeland. Cameron Grimes. Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? Meanwhile, Holden, Novak, Nathan Owens, makes a grim discovery. There will also be Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, who seeks out Victoria Newman's Amelia Heinley help. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Make sure to check out our weekly Y&R spoilers here. Mariah, Copeland's crisis. Let's start off with Mariah, who is still dealing with a big mystery. Well, it's a mystery to fans, but not to Mariah. The redhead got drunk on a business trip and had a flirty encounter with an older gentleman, Michael Swan. Then Mariah killed him. Once she came back to Genoa City, she was definitely spooked and rattled. However, she won't open up to Sharon or Tessa Porter-Kate Fairbanks about it. Mariah wouldn't talk about it even when Tessa threatened to end the marriage. What is this? Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of Y&R. In the meantime, Sharon will continue to worry about Mariah. Keeping this secret isn't making things better. It's making Mariah's life worse. Sharon Newman frets. Sharon might try to reach out to Mariah to get her to talk. The therapist even suggested that Mariah could talk to someone other than her. However, Mariah keeps insisting it's not safe to talk about it. So, as Mariah keeps this secret, expect her mental state to get worse. Mariah Copeland's world is about to be shaken to its core on The Young and the Restless as an unexpected crisis throws her life, her relationships, and her future into uncertainty. Known for her resilience and fierce loyalty to those she loves, Mariah has faced her share of emotional and physical challenges over the years, but this latest ordeal could test her in ways she never imagined. Everything begins when Mariah starts feeling increasingly overwhelmed both at home and at work as the pressures of balancing her personal life with her commitments to Tessa Porter and their daughter Arya collide with tensions in Genoa City. Although Mariah prides herself on staying grounded, subtle signs of strain begin to show. Missed deadlines, moments of emotional distance, and sleepless nights filled with worry. Tessa, sensing something is deeply wrong, encourages her to open up, but Mariah resists. Not wanting to burden her wife with what she initially thinks is just fatigue, that assumption shatters when an unexpected medical emergency lands her in the hospital, forcing her to confront the fact that something more serious is happening. The diagnosis is a shock. Stress-related health complications that could worsen if she doesn't take immediate steps to reduce the mental and emotional toll she's been under. This revelation rattles Mariah, who has always prided herself on her ability to power through adversity. As she begins treatment and follows doctor's orders to rest, the real challenge becomes emotional rather than physical. Her fears about letting her family down weigh heavily, and her mind drifts back to past traumas, including her kidnapping ordeal and the months she spent recovering from that psychological wound. Those memories resurface with startling clarity, making her question whether she ever truly healed from that experience. While Tessa remains her unwavering support system, the crisis also draws Sharon Rosales closer to her daughter, stepping in with the calm, reassurance, and maternal instinct Mariah desperately needs. However, not everyone in Genoa City views Mariah's vulnerability with compassion. Workplace tensions at Jabba begin to escalate as colleagues speculate about her ability to continue in her role, prompting Billy Abbott to step in with an offer to lighten her workload. While well-intentioned, Mariah interprets this as a sign that others doubt her competence, sparking conflict and feelings of isolation. Outside of work, Mariah finds herself caught between wanting to retreat from the world and recognizing that staying engaged is vital for her recovery. When Devin Hamilton invites her to collaborate on a charitable initiative for families in crisis, she sees it as an opportunity to focus her energy on something meaningful until unexpected obstacles trigger a setback in her progress. Meanwhile, the strain on Mariah and Tessa's relationship begins to show. Despite their mutual devotion, Tessa struggles with guilt over her music career, pulling her away from home at a time when Mariah needs stability, while Mariah battles her own fear of being abandoned in her weakest moments. This leads to heartfelt but painful conversations about priorities, boundaries, and the future they envision for their family. In the midst of these challenges, a surprising source of support emerges in Kyle Abbott, who shares his own struggles with stress and burnout. Offering Mariah insight into navigating high-pressure situations without sacrificing her well-being. Their growing friendship raises eyebrows, but it becomes a vital lifeline for Mariah, reminding her that she is not alone in feeling overwhelmed. Just as she begins to find her footing again, a crisis involving Arya's health throws everything back into chaos. Though ultimately resolved without long-term harm, the scare shakes Mariah to her core, forcing her to reevaluate every aspect of her life. By the time the dust settles, Mariah emerges with a clearer sense of purpose. She makes the bold decision to temporarily step back from her career, focusing fully on her family and her own mental health. This move not only surprises her colleagues, but also inspires others in Genoa City to reassess their own work-life balance. Mariah's journey through this crisis becomes a powerful storyline about vulnerability, resilience, and the importance of prioritizing self-care, leaving fans emotionally invested in her next chapter and wondering how this hard-earned clarity will shape her relationships and future in Genoa City. As Mariah settles into her new routine away from the daily pressures of the corporate world, she quickly realizes that stepping back does not mean her life will be free of drama. The quiet she craves is interrupted by a growing sense of unease. Someone from her past has resurfaced in Genoa City, and their presence threatens to stir up old wounds. This person, linked to her most traumatic chapter, begins making subtle attempts to reach out, leaving cryptic messages that unsettle her. While she initially keeps this from Tessa to avoid causing unnecessary worry, Sharon picks up on Mariah's anxiety during a casual conversation and urges her to be honest. Once Tessa learns the truth, she becomes fiercely protective, insisting they involve Chancellor to assess whether this could escalate into something dangerous. Meanwhile, at home, the couple focuses on creating a sense of normalcy for Arya, but their home life is further tested when Tessa receives a career-defining opportunity that would require significant travel. Mariah wants to be supportive, yet she quietly fears being left alone to handle both her recovery and the resurfacing threat from the past. The couple's conversations about the future grow more intense with moments of raw vulnerability that bring them closer, even as they grapple with uncertainty. At the same time, Sharon steps into an even more active role, not only as a source of emotional strength for Mariah, but as someone determined to protect her daughter from further trauma. She leans on her instincts and her connections in Genoa City to keep an eye on suspicious activity around Mariah's home and work. This protective energy reignites some of Sharon's own past pain, making the mother-daughter bond stronger than ever. However, Mariah's rest from work doesn't last long. Devon reaches out with a plea for her expertise in managing a high-stakes situation at Chancellor Winters. Although hesitant, she agrees to help temporarily, seeing it as a chance to regain her confidence. What begins as a short-term favor quickly escalates into a larger role as she becomes instrumental in diffusing a brewing crisis between Devon and a major investor. Her professional victory is a boost to her morale, but it also draws attention from someone who may have ulterior motives. As the weeks pass, the mysterious figure from her past becomes bolder, leaving no doubt they are deliberately trying to unsettle her. Chance's investigation uncovers a troubling pattern that suggests the person is motivated by revenge, possibly connected to unresolved fallout from Mariah's earlier kidnapping ordeal. The tension comes to a head when Mariah receives a threatening letter accompanied by an old photograph from the time she was held captive. Shaken but determined not to let fear control her life, she decides to confront the situation hidden. In a bold move, she agrees to meet the person under carefully controlled circumstances with Chance and Sharon nearby. The confrontation is intense, unearthing painful truths and revealing that the motive is far more complicated than anyone suspected. It's not about harming Mariah physically, but about forcing her to acknowledge a shared trauma that the other person believes she has ignored. This emotional reckoning leaves Mariah drained yet oddly relieved, as facing the past allows her to finally close a chapter she didn't realize was still open. In the aftermath, she and Tessa recommit to each other and to their family, making conscious decisions about boundaries, work commitments, and personal well-being. The storyline closes with Mariah feeling stronger than she has in years, not because the challenges disappeared, but because she learned she could survive them without losing herself. Holden Novak's discovery. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 11th reveal that Holden will make a grim discovery. Now that everyone is back in Genoa City, Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil decides that Holden is the next person who needs to learn about Damian Kane's Jermaine Rivers' death. While Holden and Damian had a falling out before the trip to Nice, the young man certainly didn't want his former best friend to die. So, this could really affect Holden. Could it also affect Holden's secret deal with Kane Ashby? Billy Flynn? Holden Novak's sudden arrival in Genoa City has already stirred whispers. But what he has uncovered could rock the foundations of the Newman and Abbott families in ways no one saw coming. Holden, a shrewd and relentless investigative journalist with a knack for unearthing buried truths, first appeared to be chasing a story for a national outlet. However, it has now been revealed that his interest in Genoa City is deeply personal, tied to a mystery that dates back decades. Sources say Holden's trail began when he received an anonymous tip containing fragments of a dossier on corporate corruption, property transfers, and a concealed identity switch. At first, he thought it was connected to a high-profile business scandal involving an unnamed CEO, but the deeper he dug, the more the evidence pointed to a tangled web linking Newman Enterprises, Jabal, and a shadowy figure from his own past. Holden's investigation brought him into contact with Victor Newman, who, true to form, tried to shut it down before it gained momentum. Victor reportedly warned Holden that digging into certain matters would not only be dangerous for him, but for everyone he cared about. That only fueled Holden's determination, and it wasn't long before he crossed paths with Jack Abbott, whose guarded reaction suggested he knew more than he was willing to share. Rumors now indicate that Holden has discovered documentation proving a secret child exists, one who could be the biological heir to both Newman and Abbott legacies. This revelation, if verified, would upend decades of family history, inheritance rights, and corporate control. Insiders claim that Holden has already tracked down a birth certificate sealed under court order, along with medical records that tie the child's DNA to both families. The question is whether this child is alive and aware of their true identity, or if they have been living under an assumed name all these years. Adding fuel to the fire, Holden was spotted meeting with Phyllis Summers at a secluded restaurant on the outskirts of town. Witnesses say their conversation appeared tense but urgent, with Phyllis sliding a flash drive across the table. Speculation is rampant that she has her own reasons for helping Holden, possibly as leverage against her many rivals. Meanwhile, Nick and Victoria Newman are said to be scrambling to assess the potential damage. If Holden goes public, the fallout could be catastrophic for the Newman brand, potentially triggering shareholder panic and opening the door for hostile takeovers. On the Abbott side, Kyle has reportedly confronted Jack, demanding to know if there's any truth to whispers about a hidden family connection. Jack's refusal to confirm or deny only raises suspicion. Holden's presence has also unsettled Ashley Abbott, who has been acting unusually defensive in recent days. Sources suggest she may have played a role in covering up a key piece of the puzzle years ago, possibly under pressure from both Victor and Jack to protect the families from scandal. The tension escalated when Holden was seen leaving the Genoa City courthouse with a sealed envelope believed to contain court transcripts from a long-forgotten case involving a paternity dispute. The judge who presided over the case is now retired, but Holden has reportedly arranged a private meeting in hopes of uncovering why the records were sealed and who ordered it. While Holden has not yet gone public with his findings, insiders claim he is weighing his options carefully. He could publish the story through his national platform, triggering immediate chaos, or he could attempt to use the information to broker deals, alliances, and possibly revenge. Given the combustible mix of secrets, lies, and power plays in Genoa City, it's almost certain that whatever Holden decides will set off a chain reaction. For now, the town is bracing for impact. The mere possibility of a Newman-Abbott heir with legitimate claims to two of the most powerful companies in the Midwest has already sent shockwaves through boardrooms and family dining rooms alike. If Holden's evidence proves authentic, the delicate balance of power in Genoa City could be obliterated overnight. All eyes are now on him, waiting for the moment when the truth bursts into the open, changing everything. Holden Novak's every move has become a subject of intense scrutiny as Genoa City residents try to piece together his motives. Those close to him insist he's driven purely by the truth, but others whisper that Holden has a hidden agenda tied to revenge. The latest developments indicate he has secured cooperation from a key insider within Newman Enterprises, someone willing to leak internal memos, private correspondence, and records of boardroom meetings. This mole reportedly approached Holden after becoming disillusioned with Victor Newman's iron grip on the company, hinting that decades of ruthless tactics have left a trail of casualties. The insider's first leak was explosive, a financial transfer, routed through offshore accounts that appears to fund a private security operation. On the surface, it looked like a corporate expense tied to international expansion. But Holden's investigation suggests that this security network was used to track and silence individuals who threatened to expose damaging truths. One of those individuals, according to Holden's growing dossier, was a young woman who vanished without explanation years ago. A woman he now believes is directly connected to the mysterious heir. Jack Abbott, despite his cautious demeanor, has reportedly begun making quiet inquiries of his own, discreetly contacting former associates who may know more about the alleged paternity scandal. Kyle Abbott, still frustrated by his father's evasiveness, is rumored to be contemplating a risky move, aligning himself with Holden to find out the truth firsthand. Such an alliance could fracture the Abbott family, pitting father against son, in a very public and damaging feud. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman has grown increasingly worried. Sources claim she has been pressuring Victor behind closed doors to come clean, warning that if Holden beats them to the punch, the family's carefully cultivated image could be destroyed. Victor, however, remains confident he can control the situation, reportedly tasking his most trusted aides with digging up compromising information on Holden to discredit him before the story breaks. In a surprising twist, Holden was recently seen meeting with Christine Blair in what appeared to be a confidential strategy session. Christine, known for her sharp legal mind, may be advising him on how to navigate the minefield of lawsuits, gag orders, and potential retaliation that would follow a public expose. Her involvement signals that Holden's case may have already uncovered enough credible evidence to warrant legal protection, but Holden's quest is not without personal cost. Friends say he's been receiving anonymous threats. His car has been tampered with, and he's noticed suspicious figures following him around town. Still, he refuses to back down, driven by what he describes as a truth that can't stay buried. The air in Genoa City is thick with anticipation. Business alliances are shifting, trust is eroding, and family dinners are being replaced with strategy sessions. Everyone knows that once Holden makes his move, there will be no turning back. The fallout could ruin reputations, spark corporate wars, and even unravel long-standing marriages. And with each passing day, Holden is inching closer to the moment he goes public, holding in his hands the power to shatter Genoa City's most powerful families with one headline: Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman's pact. Over with Jack, he has been torn about putting Jabba in Billy Abbott's Jason Thompson hands. In light of the Kane situation, Jack goes to talk to Victoria. What is this? While Victoria has always been Team Newman, she could agree that they need a united front. The Abbott and Newman families have united before to defeat a bigger threat. Could we see something similar? Jack expressed concern about whether Victor would agree to join forces or not. So, the Abbott patriarch might try to get Victoria's help with that. Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman have always walked a fine line between rivalry and reluctant alliance. But in a move that has stunned Genoa City insiders, the two titans have quietly forged a secret pact that could shift the entire balance of corporate power. While Newman Enterprises and Jabal have long been locked in a competitive dance, recent developments behind closed doors suggest Jack and Victoria have found common ground. Not for friendship's sake, but for mutual survival. The deal reportedly began in hushed tones during a chance meeting at Society, where both were seen in a corner booth speaking in low voices. At first, many assumed it was yet another round of corporate posturing. But witnesses later claimed they exchanged documents and left separately, careful not to draw attention. The rumor mill has since exploded with theories about what could drive these two to work together. Sources with knowledge of the situation say both Jack and Victoria are facing internal threats from within their own companies. Challenges that could topple their control if left unchecked. For Jack, the issue stems from growing unrest on Jabal's board, where whispers of a leadership change have gained traction after recent dips in market performance. For Victoria, the problem is closer to home, with simmering tensions in the Newman family threatening to undercut her authority, especially as Victor continues to test her every decision. The alleged pact between them appears to be a calculated exchange. Jack would lend his influence and resources to help Victoria secure dominance within Newman Enterprises, while Victoria would provide Jabbo with exclusive access to a high-demand international supplier currently under contract with Newman's overseas division. This move would give Jabbo a competitive edge in the cosmetics market while locking out potential rivals. However, this alliance is not without its risks. Should the pact become public, it would be seen as a betrayal by their respective families. Kyle Abbott has already expressed deep mistrust of Victoria in the past, and his reaction to such an arrangement would likely be explosive. On the Newman side, Nick and Adam would view any partnership with Jack as a strategic blunder, or worse, a direct threat to their own positions. Nikki Newman, who has long been wary of Jack's influence over her children, is said to be keeping a close eye on Victoria's recent activities. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. Adding fuel to the fire, the pair's pact might extend beyond business dealings. Some believe Jack and Victoria may be collaborating on a deeper agenda, identifying and neutralizing a mutual adversary whose schemes could harm both companies. While no names have been confirmed, speculation has centered on a shadow investor quietly acquiring shares in multiple Genoa City enterprises, potentially setting the stage for a hostile takeover. In recent days, Jack and Victoria have been spotted in discreet meetings at out-of-town locations, avoiding the usual hotspots where prying eyes and eager gossips lurk. Each time they emerge with carefully crafted statements to the press, insisting their encounters are purely coincidental or tied to industry conferences. But behind the scenes, insiders say they are working tirelessly to shore up their positions, crafting contingency plans and sharing sensitive intelligence. Their unusual alliance has sent ripples through the corporate community, with competitors scrambling to anticipate their next move. If their partnership holds, it could usher in a new era where Newman and Abbott interests are temporarily aligned, something few in Genoa City ever thought possible. Yet, the unspoken truth is that both know this pact has an expiration date. Once their mutual threats are neutralized, old rivalries will resurface, and trust will evaporate. For now, however, the city watches with bated breath as two of its most powerful figures stand shoulder to shoulder, bound by a secret agreement that could either fortify their empires or lead to a spectacular collapse if betrayed. And in a place like Genoa City, betrayal is never a question of if, it's only a matter of when. The secret pact between Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman is already creating undercurrents of tension in Genoa City's most powerful circles. Even though the details remain hidden from the public eye, their latest meeting took place in the private wine cellar at Society, far from prying eyes, where they allegedly finalized a multi-phase strategy to secure their dominance. Insiders claim this strategy isn't just about corporate maneuvering, it's about eliminating threats, both personal and professional, before those threats eliminate them. Jack's primary concern is the internal coup brewing within Jabo. Two influential board members, rumored to be under outside influence, have been pushing for a leadership shakeup. Jack's usual allies have been uncharacteristically quiet, suggesting loyalties may be shifting. This is where Victoria comes in. Her corporate network and connections to influential investors could quietly sway the tide in Jack's favor, buying him the time and stability he needs to regain control. For Victoria, the stakes are even more personal, with Victor Newman questioning her every move and Adam circling like a shark. She needs an external ally who understands the ruthlessness required to survive. Jack has offered to provide confidential intelligence about Adam's dealings, information gathered through discreet channels over the years that could help Victoria outmaneuver her half-brother and solidify her leadership. But such a pact requires absolute secrecy, and cracks are already beginning to form. Nikki Newman has noticed her daughter's sudden guarded behavior and late-night calls, and she suspects Jack's involvement. Kyle Abbott, already wary of Victoria's influence, has confronted his father about his frequent absences and evasive explanations. Neither Jack nor Victoria has confirmed anything, but their avoidance of direct answers has only heightened suspicions. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure known in the corporate world for orchestrating hostile takeovers has reportedly been spotted in Genoa City. If the rumors are true, this individual could be the very threat Jack and Victoria are trying to neutralize. A player who has been quietly buying up shares in both Newman Enterprises and Jabo through shell companies. The danger is that if this outsider succeeds, the two companies could be forced into a merger under hostile terms, stripping both Jack and Victoria of control. In a bold move, Victoria and Jack are said to be pooling their legal and financial resources to create a defensive shield against such an outcome. This involves not only tightening shareholder control, but also preparing to launch strategic acquisitions of their own, essentially turning the tables on their would-attacker. Still, every alliance in Genoa City comes with a price. If Victor discovers that his daughter has been collaborating with Jack Abbott, a man he has battled for decades, the fallout could be devastating. Not just for Victoria's position, but for her relationship with her father. Likewise, if Kyle finds proof of Jack's alliance with Victoria, he may view it as a betrayal of the Abbott family's independence and could even side with Jabau's dissenting board members to push his father out. The walls are closing in and one wrong move could expose everything. Yet Jack and Victoria remain committed, bound by a mutual understanding that in the cutthroat world of business and family politics, survival sometimes demands sleeping beside your fiercest rival. The real question now is how long they can maintain this delicate balance before someone decides the pact has served its purpose and that it's the latest spoilers for The Young and the Restless airing Monday, August 11, 2025. Center around two major storylines: Mariah Copeland's escalating personal crisis and Holden Novak's grim discovery that threatens to destabilize Genoa City's most powerful families. Mariah faces intense emotional and physical challenges stemming from a secret involving a fatal incident during a business trip, which she keeps hidden from loved ones, worsening her mental health. This crisis strains her relationship with her wife, Tessa Porter, and draws in Sharon Newman, who becomes a maternal figure and protector. Mariah's struggles also affect her work life, creating tension at Jabo and leading her to temporarily step back from her career to focus on recovery and family. However, her past resurfaces ominously, forcing her to confront unresolved trauma, parallel to Mariah's storyline. Investigative journalist Holden Novak uncovers explosive secrets linking the Newman and Abbott families, potentially revealing a secret heir with claims to both legacies. His findings, supported by leaked corporate documents and court records, threaten to upend the balance of power in Genoa City, stirring corporate and familial tensions. Holden's investigation brings him into uneasy alliances and dangerous confrontations, while various family members scramble to manage the fallout or keep the truth buried. Adding complexity, Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman, longtime corporate rivals, have forged a secret pact to protect their respective empires against internal threats and a looming hostile takeover by a shadowy investor buying up shares in their companies. Their alliance, while strategic, carries risks of betrayal and fractured family loyalties, especially as their actions draw suspicion from their children and other close allies. Together, these intertwined narratives explore themes of vulnerability, power struggles, family loyalty, and the consequences of hidden truths. Fans are left anticipating how Mariah's recovery, Holden's revelations, and the fragile alliance between Jack and Victoria will reshape the dynamics of Genoa City. Mariah Copeland faces a profound personal and health crisis linked to a dark secret from a fatal incident. Holden Novak uncovers a secret heir potentially tied to both the Newman and Abbott families, threatening corporate empires. Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman form a clandestine alliance to counter internal corporate threats and hostile takeovers. Mariah's mental health deterioration impacts her relationships with Tessa Porter and her workplace dynamics. Corporate intrigue intensifies as family members scramble to contain or exploit Holden's explosive findings. Mariah confronts a resurfaced figure from her traumatic past, leading to an emotional reckoning. The fragile pact between Jack and Victoria raises suspicions among their children, foreshadowing future family conflicts. Mariah Copeland's crisis highlights the realistic portrayal of mental health struggles under pressure. Mariah's storyline goes beyond typical soap opera drama by illustrating how unresolved trauma and secrecy can deteriorate mental and physical health. Her refusal to share her burden, despite support from loved ones, reflects common real-world psychological patterns, emphasizing the importance of communication and self-care. This arc also challenges the stigma around vulnerability, showing that strength includes acknowledging one's limits. Holden Novak's investigation serves as a catalyst for major upheaval in Genoa City's power structure. Holden's discovery of a secret heir ties into classic soap opera tropes of hidden family secrets, but adds a contemporary twist with corporate espionage, legal battles, and media involvement. His role as an investigative journalist committed to the truth creates tension as he navigates threats, potential alliances, and ethical dilemmas. The storyline underscores how past secrets can have long-lasting explosive consequences. The alliance between Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman illustrates the complex balance between rivalry and survival in business and family. Their secret pact to counteract threats from internal dissenters and external hostile takeovers shows pragmatic cooperation transcending personal animosity. It reflects real-world corporate strategies where competitors might collaborate temporarily to address mutual risks. However, the underlying mistrust and potential fallout reveal that such alliances are inherently unstable, especially when family loyalties and personal vendettas are involved. Workplace dynamics and personal crises often intersect, amplifying stress and conflict. Mariah's declining performance at Jabbo and perceptions of incompetence highlight how mental health issues can spill over into professional life, sometimes leading to misunderstandings and isolation. Billy Abbott's offer to lighten her workload, despite good intentions, inadvertently exacerbates Mariah's feelings of inadequacy. This subplot sensitively captures how organizations and colleagues can either support or unintentionally hinder an employee's recovery. Family members' responses to Holden's findings illustrate the varied strategies for managing crises within powerful dynasties. While some, like Victor Newman, resort to intimidation and damage control, others, like Jack Abbott and Kyle, pursue covert investigations or alliances. Nikki Newman's pressure on Victor and Victoria's guarded behavior demonstrate the interplay between public image and private fears. This multifaceted response mirrors real-life crisis management in families and businesses, where conflicting interests and personalities complicate unified action. Mariah's confrontation with a figure from her past symbolizes the necessity of facing trauma to achieve healing. The emotional reckoning with the person linked to her kidnapping is a pivotal moment that allows Mariah to reclaim agency over her narrative. It underscores a universal truth that avoidance often prolongs pain, while confronting difficult memories, though draining, can lead to closure and renewed strength. This plot development enriches the character's depth and provides a hopeful message about resilience. Suspicion and secrecy within the Abbott and Newman families foreshadow future internal conflicts. Kyle Abbott's mistrust of Jack and Nikki's wariness of Victoria's actions highlight generational divides and competing loyalties. These tensions add layers of drama and realism, as family members not only contend with external threats but also navigate internal power struggles. The fragile nature of Jack and Victoria's alliance suggests that betrayal, a staple of soap operas, remains inevitable, promising intense future developments. The August 11th episode of The Young and the Restless promises a gripping blend of personal turmoil, corporate intrigue, and family drama. Mariah's vulnerable journey through mental health challenges and past trauma offers emotional depth, while Holden Novak's investigation threatens to upend Genoa City's elite. Meanwhile, the unprecedented alliance between Jack Abbott and Victoria Newman adds strategic complexity and tension, setting the stage for seismic shifts in power. Together, these storylines weave a rich tapestry of resilience, secrets, and shifting loyalties that will captivate fans and leave them eager for what's next.